Hello everyone, this is Random Ramblings with Daniel, your host. Today will be a short video. Normally I like to do reviews of a humorous nature, covering a variety of topics. However, today is a special video where I deviate from such content, as I would like to talk about Remembrance Day, and what it signifies to the world as a whole, especially here in Australia, being a member of the Commonwealth currently at the time of this recording, and what it means to us, and how it pertains to the future of this planet regarding potential conflicts that we may go through. 104 years ago marked the end of World War I, otherwise known as the Great War, between the colonial powers of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Germany, among others, and the Allies, specifically England, Russia, France, and the Commonwealth nations, Australia and New Zealand among them, also known as the Anzacs. On the 11th of November 1918, an armistice was reached between the two sides, declaring the Allies, comprising the Commonwealth nations of England, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, among others, and France and America, who entered and America, the victors of the conflict. As a result, a treaty was drawn up, specifically the Treaty of Versailles, which granted numerous concessions to the Allies and territorial losses for the losers of this conflict, namely and especially Germany. The armistice was to signify the end of this great war and disastrous war, which on the whole had accomplished nothing more than destroying several great empires, including the Ottoman and Austro-Hungarian Empire. Germany, unfortunately, would suffer tremendously as a result, having territory occupied by France and being subject to severe reparational penalties as a result, and being unjustly declared the sole perpetrators of the war, thus bearing the brunt of the blow in the process. This would have devastating consequences for the German people as a whole, as less than 20 years later, a young man by the name of Adolf Hitler would eventually seize power within Germany, become Chancellor, and eventually dictator in the process. He would be solely responsible and the main architect behind the Second World War, leading to a further 6 years of devastating conflict, the attempted genocide of an entire people, namely 6 million Jews and Gypsies, among others, and a number of other so-called undesirables, as he tyrannically and insanely tried to bring about what he called the Master Aryan race of the German people. Thankfully, however, he was stopped by the combined efforts of the Allies, among them America, England, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and Russia, who also was under the control of another dictator by the name of Joseph Stalin, who had seized power in a coup soon after the rightful heir to Vladimir Lenin's legacy, and arguably the more humane and who would have been a better fit to rule, Leon Trotsky. Trotsky was assassinated on Stalin's orders in 1940 in Mexico. Although Trotsky was a committed communist and would have arguably seized dictatorial control of the Soviet Union in much the same manner Stalin did, it is up for debate whether Trotsky would have indeed sunk to the same levels of Stalin, as it is believed that he was to be far more tolerant of people, and at least in some respects far more on Lenin's side of his interpretations of communism, specifically that democracy was a key component of running the Soviet Union, not as a totalitarian state as it was under Stalin. But that is a story for another day. I apologize for getting off track. My point is that the armistice of 1918 was meant to prevent such a conflict as World War II, which unfortunately, and as history has shown us, did not happen. However, the spirit of Remembrance Day lives on, in the sense that we should understand the horrors of war, the pain that war and conflict causes, and do our utmost to prevent such a disaster from ever happening again. Thankfully, Remembrance Day's legacy is also remembered through the United Nations, a body of countries which was established specifically to prevent another conflict from happening soon after the armistice was declared. Originally termed the League of Nations, this body would morph into the United Nations soon after World War II, and is currently chaired by 5 permanent members of the Security Council, meaning that 5 members have permanent seats on the Security Council and are the main governing body behind this institution. These are the United States of America, England, France, China, and Russia. 2 of these states, Russia and China, are arguably, or at least one of them, China, being a communist totalitarian state, and Russia being a borderline dictatorship, although it claims to be a democracy. This has created significant controversy as to the legitimacy and democratic running of the United Nations, as it relates to the 5 permanent member status. It should be noted that all 5 members of the Security Council possess nuclear weapons, devastating devices that are capable of mass destruction, as was the case, unfortunately, experienced by the Japanese at the end of World War II, suffering 2 nuclear bomb attacks in the first place, which prompted the country's surrender and ended the Second World War. However, this is also another contentious point, as it is debated whether the war could have ended without such destructive power being utilized. However, was considered at the time an extreme yet necessary evil. I'm not here to judge. I have never been in the military, and I am not here to pass judgment upon those who are in the military. Quite the opposite, or those who serve in the armed forces in general. I think the work they do is essential and necessary, and anyone who is selfless enough to potentially lay down their lives for billions of total strangers is the very definition of a hero in my book. We should all take a lesson from the armistice of 1918, where people stopped fighting, resolved to end conflict, and preserve the hope that such a devastating conflict would never happen again. We are only as strong as our weakest link. We are only as powerful as the smallest voice. And even if one voice stands up in opposition to what the majority think, and let us face it, the majority are often those driven by emotion and passion, such things in the face of a crisis are never a good sign. If people have the courage to stand up for what is right, even in the face of overwhelming opposition, that is tremendous courage. And it is important to realize that in order to maintain a peaceful and just society, we must first stand up for what is right, even if that means going against those who are closest to us, and having the courage to stand up for what you believe in the face of opposition, even to those closest to you, takes tremendous conviction in being an individual and takes tremendous strength of character. To those who serve in the military, Navy, or Air Force, I would like to say thank you for your service and being selfless in helping to prevent such a conflict and helping to save lives. Even to those unsung heroes such as the paramedics, the ambulance drivers, the fire truck drivers, and the police, and even those who work in baristas or low-paying jobs yet do essential work. Know that your work is not underappreciated and your value is no less, as we're all human, and regardless of our monetary status or financial positions in life, we all bleed, grieve, and need exactly the same. We all need companionship, and we all need to be and want to be validated, I think, on some level, no matter as how stoically and stubbornly some of us may pretend that we do not want to be, say that we do not want to be needed or loved, as I believe wanting to be loved and loving others in return is a core point and essential to being human. Thank you for watching this video, and please forgive my random ramble. Today is a solemn day, yet also a celebration in the fact that we are not in a world war and have not been in a world war for some time. And we do not have to be, as we have the power to stop these things from happening. All we need to do is stand up and say no. Thank you for watching this video. Be cool, stay cool. I've been your host, Daniel. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.